So just a little bit about TISIT. There are a few people in the room who are new to the group. Look, TISIT is a group that's existed since about 2007, I think, roughly. We've existed as a mailing list for quite a while, and that's pretty much all we are at this stage. And we gather together for, I guess, meetings like this whenever we possibly can. And of late, it's probably not been as often as we'd like, but I really do think that TISIT is a great group. We exist, I guess, to support the learning and the professional development of people who work in IT in non-government schools. And we're really just there as a sort of, I guess, a platform to ask colleagues about things that they're doing in their school, to find out what's going on in other schools in the state. And that's pretty much all we do at this stage. And I think that much alone is a really valuable thing for us. Because, you know, without the group, there would be no other way for, you know, days like today to happen. So I do think TISIT is an important group for us, and you know, we are still an informal group. There has been talk of formalising the group, and nothing has really happened around that. But you know, there's a question about whether it really needs to. You know, we do pretty well anyway. So just moving on to a little bit about where we are today here at Marist. This is the first time Marist hosted anything like this. I've ummed and ahed about it for years probably and never gotten around to doing it. So finally I won over the procrastination and we're doing it. So look, Marist, obviously we're a Catholic school, we're co-educational, we're years 7 to 12, about 850 students at this point in time. The school was actually formed sort of probably the middle of last century from sort of the amalgamation of what were then a boys' school and a girls' school. We, up until probably 10 years ago, had priests who lived in this area of the school, actually, where we are now. This was the priest lounge room, I think, originally. The priests left probably about 10 years ago. We've had a lay principal since. And we've been doing probably a lot of good work probably in the last, and I don't think, it's nothing to do with the priests leaving, but just a shift in focus has seen some really good work done here, particularly in around sort of building and redevelopment and that sort of stuff over the last 10 years. So we'll do a school tour later on and have a look at some of that sort of stuff. I won't, you know, go on too much about Marist specifically. I should just say probably that it has changed a lot. I mean, I've been here 16 years now. And you don't stick around for 16 years unless it's a good place to work, because it is a really good place to work. And I'm quite grateful for a lot of things that, you know, the school's done for us. So, yeah, you know, go Marist. So just moving on to a little bit, I'm just going to run through quickly some of the things that we have done here at Marist in the last 10 years. So the last 10 years has seen a program of building redevelopment that we're quite proud of, and again, we'll do a school tour, but I'll just go through them briefly. So in 2006, we built a new gymnasium, which is something that the school had been sorely missing, seeing as sport's a big emphasis here, you know, for quite a while. 2007, we redeveloped our performing arts area into a proper area for drama and performances. We redeveloped our staff room to give our staff somewhere modern and comfortable to work. 2009, we put in a professional recording studio, which is actually just directly upstairs, where some of our music students are able to have their work professionally recorded. And that's been a fantastic new development. In 2010, with BER funding, we built a whole new area for our Year 7s, which we'll go through later on. In 2012, we built this area, which is a Cradle Coast Trade Training Centre, focusing on vet hospitality and bakery. We have a commercial kitchen out the back, and we host some functions in here, and the students produce sort of pastries and cakes and make coffee, and there's always good stuff to eat. It's fantastic. So this area been really good for I'm assuming the students are learning things as well. They're learning some wonderful things. But hey, there's cool stuff for us to eat, so that's the main thing. In 2012, a new redevelopment to our arts and textiles area, and in 2013 we built basically well, not quite, but almost a copy of the building that we built in 2010 to house our Year 8s, who had been working out of what were not so affectionately known as chook sheds up until that point. Some of the buildings, prior to 2006 here were, 50 years old and getting quite run down. So, the change has been really well received, obviously, and, it makes the place feel a bit more modern and, contemporary. So, so that amounts to $15 million has been spent on the college over the last 10 years, which is, that's just a number. But probably the key thing is that it's all been part of a sort of a 10-year master plan that the college has had running. So, 10 years ago we had a master plan that was looking forward 10 years for the college, and now we still have a master plan that's kept up to date. We're looking 10 years into the future now. And one of the key things that's been good about that, and I was talking to a business manager about it the other day, and he's saying, look, well, one of the best things that came from the fact that we had this constant master planning going was that when it came time to apply for funding, for grants and that sort of thing to get these building developments going, the work was already done. The master planning was already there, and putting the application was an easy thing because the vision was already there and the planning had already been done. So just linking that back to IT, the IT involvement has been a really interesting thing. So the beginning of that 10 years of development, the involvement of IT was sort of and not to be too cynical about it, I guess, was, look, here's a new building, it's finished, can you guys go and put a bit of that, technology stuff in there, get some network for us, put in some computers, that sort of thing. It was very much after the fact. And I'm really glad to say that over the years of developing that, we've now come to a point where IT is included and thought of, and not just from my perspective, from an IT infrastructure perspective, but from a teaching perspective as well, brought in at the early planning stages and built into the planning right from the start. So, we went from those early stages of not having much involvement to, I guess probably our last building was the best one where, so I always had this problem that what we were doing previously was we were outsourcing the decision making on teaching spaces and teaching and learning technology to architects, essentially, who were designing the buildings. And now our last development, really the IT was included right in the planning stage, the same way that the teachers were included in developing their own teaching spaces right at the planning stage. And it's been great in terms of we could sort of say to the architects, look, we want you to do this way in this building rather than sort of having to find out about it sort of at the late stages. So it's been a real learning experience. I've learned to read building plans really well over the last 10 years. It was the first time I saw one, it's like, what's this thing? It has been a learning experience. So just moving on, so some recent developments in IT here at Marist. The stuff that we're doing is not, it's not earth-shattering, it's not, we're not doing anything that's like particularly fancy, but I'm just going to run through a few things that we've done recently that have been big to us. The main one is the launch of our one-to-one computing program, which we kicked off in 2013. Now, it's a school-supplied one-to-one program. The parents contribute to the cost of the computers through their levies, and the school manages the computers for them, basically. The student has the machine for the 3-year life that it's given to them for. That's nothing special, but it's new to us because we were previously in that sort of laptop trolley sort of mode which didn't really work. And the change that we've seen with that program has been fantastic. The learning is still, something that we're working on, building up the teaching and learning using the new devices. But in terms of just sort of managing the fleet of devices, we're finding that it's a heck of a lot easier. The one-to-one program was an interesting journey for us in one respect, in that at the beginning of 2013 we rolled out, to kick off the program, as is probably best practice, we rolled out to the teachers first with 100 new devices for the teachers. Then the middle of that year, of 2013, we rolled out 150 devices to our incoming, or what had been incoming Year 7s. Seriously, we were a department of 3 at the time when we started that, so just 3 of us to work through that. A lot of my time was taken out with the planning and meetings and whatever else that we were doing and workshops we were doing around it. Poor old John nearly went insane trying to get everything ready. There were threats of mutiny and all sorts of things going on, and I would easily say that was, look, I take full responsibility for that. I was in a mode of, yep, we'll say yes to whatever. We'll just say yes, and then we'll work out a way to get it done. Maybe I should be a salesman or something, that attitude of, yeah, we can do that, no worries. And then we'll work out later whether we can do it or not. But yeah, and it was a lesson for me in that sometimes you need to draw the line and say, look, no, we can't do that. It's not a reasonable request. So we did get it done, but we'll never ever do that again. Now our one-to-one program, which is great and will continue, will proceed at a more steady and sensible pace. So the other thing that we've done recently, which is, one of the near and dear things to us, is we got the go-ahead to redesign our offices and build new offices. And I won't bang on too much about that now because we're going to do the school tour and show is better than tell. But just, I guess, in a nutshell, we went from something that looked like this. That's not our offices, by the way. OH&S. Yeah. No, our ladder's much better than that, John. So we went from something like that to something like this. Oh, sorry, no, wrong photo. This. No, wrong photo again. Sorry, that. No, damn it, wrong photo. That's it, yep, something more like that. Complete with butler. So yeah, we'll actually go back and look at the offices a bit later on. So the other thing we've done recently is just rebrand IT a little bit. Just that, because we never work. I guess you can't rebrand something if it doesn't have a brand, can you really? So we were just the IT guys, so now we're trying to get ourselves known as IT services, which is not a big change in itself, but just sort of reinforces that, hey, we're here to provide a service as a group, and just get everybody sort of thinking more about, I guess, the way IT support and service should be. And the other new involvement is, as I mentioned, Cameron sort of joining our team 2 days a week. Cameron's in Year 12 through the vet training we do here at the college. He's doing a Cert 3 with us, and that'll continue into next year. Cameron's obviously finishing up at the end of this year, being Year 12, but we'll take on new students next year, probably more than one. It's something that the idea before we started really appealed to me, because I mean, us in IT, we're sort of a little bit at arm's length, I think, from the students in one way or another. So to be given the opportunity to actually be actively involved with the students' education, if there's only one student in this case, or maybe 2 next year, is just, I think, a really good change, and just helps keep us in touch with what we do as our core business as a school, which is to educate students. So, I'm just going to finish up, because we're into the school tour, and I noticed that it started raining, so that's beautiful timing, so fantastic. It is spring, and it is Tassie, so what can you expect? So I'm just going to go through a mixture of a few things we've done here and a few things that we've just sort of thought of that would be kind of cool that we might like to do. And we've got these roundtable discussion sessions this afternoon. So, you know, maybe this might be something we could sort of, you know, bring up at those sessions later on, in that it's always nice to hear cool ideas that people have got, whether you've implemented them at your school or whether you haven't. Just sort of those sorts of opportunities that are you know, on the horizon. So one of the things we have done recently is in our new offices, we've been given sort of the opportunity, because we've got a little meeting space in there where people can go and work quietly. We've taken out one afternoon every week for 1 or 2 IT staff to take time out to learn. I think it's very important to acknowledge the fact that in the day-to-day in IT, like you don't have time to stop and sit down and digest something that you need to understand for your job. And new things to understand come along just more often than you probably would like to admit. So we take out sort of Friday afternoons where people can sit down and one person can teach another about something, or people can sit individually and work through something, say like the Microsoft Virtual Academy stuff, or if you're actually involved in some formal training, work on that. Or if you've got a project that you really want to get just sort of clear time to work at, you can work at that. Or a number of other things that may fit into that sort of category of professional learning or projects. And we've been doing that since sort of this time last year, and that has been a really, really good idea. And I can't take credit for it. The idea came from our business manager, who sort of suggested something like this. And it's really helped us as a department sort of share the knowledge and build our own individual skill set. Been a great idea. And it's just a simple thing. Yeah, but it's been really good. The other idea was, and we did this more in our previous offices than we do now, but we are still trying to encourage it, which is, had a little spare desk, which we just sort of let whoever was hovering just sort of come in and sit and work occasionally. So it might be a teacher who, say, needs to do something in particular and just needs to sit near IT for that feeling of safety, that feeling of, hey, this could all go pear-shaped and I might not know what to do and I might need someone to help me. So they just sort of sit in our spare desk and work away, and they may never sort of bother anyone for anything, or they might sort of say, you know, hey, I need some help with this, what's going on here, or whatever else. And that is just another little thing that should help build a little bit more collegiality between us and the teaching staff or teachers' aides or library staff, whoever it might be. And it's been a really good thing, just to sort of just make people know that we're not, you know, unapproachable. We're not just sort of shut off in some dungeon in the school and guys that you never talk to. It's been a really good thing. And I mean, it does have the possibility, I guess, of interfering with your work a little bit, but you manage it, and it's not a bad idea. There you go. No worries, we can't have you having withdrawal, Nathan. We don't want you to get the DTs. One of the other cool little ideas we had was we integrated our phone system with our PA. And I know other schools have probably done that. It's not a huge thing. So we run an IP phone system, and there was talk of, hey, you know, how can we get the phone system integrated with the PA so that somebody can make an announcement from anywhere. So we did look at doing it sort of properly. And by properly, I mean forking out for the hardware to plug into the PA system and everything else. For the thousands of dollars that would have cost, we decided probably not. What we'll do is we'll get one of our phones and pull it apart and hack it and plug it into the phone system, and hey, off we go. Literally, you know, pulled apart a $150 phone, and yeah, that's right. Soldered some leads on and plugged into the phone system and set it up to auto answer, and now you can pick up any of the internal phones and dial a number and make a PA announcement. I hope the kids never find out that number. We might change it if they do, I think, but yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what the number is myself at the moment. I can't remember it. So, but yeah, just one of those little things that now our directors or our office staff can just be wherever they are and make a PA announcement. The other, and this now we're getting into the realm of things that's like, hey, wouldn't this be cool that that I've seen and never had the chance to look at. Seen them about before, and I heard one other school talk about them. And I don't know about anyone else, but we have this problem of every classroom has a clock, and every clock's on a slightly different time. And some teachers do really go into sort of meltdown mode when kids are released from class early if they're, say running a test or something like that. And there's kids running up and down through the corridors. So it did occur to me, wouldn't it be awesome if we could have clocks in all of our classrooms that are synchronised with network time? That'd be a brilliant idea. So just putting it out there, if anyone's done anything around that, that'd be a really cool thing to hear about. We'd like to get it done, but maybe might be a little bit too costly. But yeah, just one of those things. Cool idea. And the other cool idea is I'm not telling you anything new by talking about Raspberry Pi, but we have tinkered with them sort of down in our department a little bit. So I'd like to hear if anyone else has come up with cool uses for them. At whatever they are, $30 odd for a whole computer. It's pretty cool, and there's lots of potential there. We did actually try the digital network clock thing using them. I had a prototype running that was plugged into an old 17-inch LCD that would just show the time basically and keep the time in sync. We also have built a little temperature sensor rig on it and we think we might actually use that. Raspberry Pi's monitoring temperature, sending alerts from our comms racks around the school, because we've got quite a lot of them. They're in all the buildings around the place. And they can work anywhere else you need temperature sensing as well. So yeah, we'd love to hear if anyone else has got any other cool uses for Raspberry Pi. And that about sees me out into the school tour.